Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
But he's following it. It's not that I hate to keep saying it, but I do hate to keep saying it. Just like Gerard says, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easy. But I hate to fucking say the same fucking thing for 28 and a half years, and nobody listens. And we all know why you don't listen. I mean, in general. You know. I don't have to beat that fucking horse anymore, do I? You're damaged goods! And you should have rolled down the inside of your fucking fat mama's thigh. So, that may be the last time I scream that Brother Simmons on. He's a sharp kid. He looks like to me he looks like a teenager, but except for the two old gits in the room, you all look like kids to me. The other two look like you've had hard lives, boys. I mean, you've been ridden hard and put away fucking wet, as they say in Texas. And he's following it, and he's and his updates that he sends out electronically every 10 days or so are dynamite. Most of the kids send out updates in the written form, the electronic form, or have a better punch to them. And he's in a not healthcare. He's in a techie. The Amazon or whatever, and he and a lot of people are drinking his Kool-Aid. An inordinate amount are drinking his Kool-Aid. His close ratio is about 40 or 50% of everybody he sits down with, which is better than anybody else, except for somebody like me. And and it's insurance sales 101. I mean, he is an insurance peddler. I mean, and he brings it in and the Zoom and all this, and is this okay? Is this okay? And then he makes the block over here, and he draws these, and he can do all those arrows and shit that on a Zoom call. Yeah, that's cool. Let's go. And then electronically sign right there. And it's just, he says it's easier than taking candy from a baby. Of course, he's got 5 kids, but it's easier, Dan. I mean, it's like taking the candy from while that's still in the womb. And he's done a terrific job. He's done a terrific job. And I came in after the first year, because he's doing more terrific now, but from a little Gestapo enforcement, little brown shirt enforcement, because he's too easy. He's too, as most people are. There's no Steve Jobs in him. Remember, there's no Andrew Carnegie in him. Questions? Yes, sir, in the back.
Is there a seller's equity in most of his deals?
Yeah, and they're almost all overfinanced. And the money that he's talking about pulling out, that was from the line of credit. It's not but we have had guys, and I want to stand clear, that actually during the due diligence process, it's 30, and part of it's commercial and part of it's seller finance. They go and they load up on debt. They they refinance buildings and shit, so they have additional cash. And it's added on to the sales price, normally pushed out, not to infinity, but pushed out in a balloon. And now you've got more cash, and he did listen. You can never have too much cash. Never. 0 interest. I don't give a shit. There's a reason why almost all the big companies are sitting on hundreds of billions in cash. When the big motherfucker comes, when the 1,000-foot wave comes, you want to have cash. You want to have cash. And vis-a-vis refinancing, I mean, fuck, the interest rate, again, I thought the interest rates would go up by now. Well, they've up 30 basis points or 25 basis, about a quarter of a point, nothing. They've gone up nothing. I mean, right now, and the QLA model worked when interest rates were 15, 18%. I said that a couple of days ago. So just imagine how good your deal had to be then. Most of the deals that have come through the seminar, if they had to compete against that rate, wouldn't make it. They just wouldn't make it. And he's followed, on I think the other Godfather series, he said, at the end of the day, I feel like, I'm spent, and he is. If you work hard 12, 13, 14 hours a day, I don't care how strong you are physically, and you better be strong, very strong mentally. I mean, it's tiring. I mean, it can make young men old, as evidence in the back of the room here. Any questions on how he does it? I don't know exactly. I'd be lying to you if I told you exactly I knew what being the Amazon or whatever means. I don't know. I know that all the companies lock together some way and are referrals or business opportunities for the other entities. And they're somehow locked in together. So, like a tag team match, when this subsidiary gets done with the customer, then this one takes this and takes the leads and turns them into this, and turns them into that, and hocus pocus. But the public market appears, it hasn't happened yet, appears to think it's the greatest motherfucking thing since sliced bread. Motherhood and apple pie. They're fighting to be the underwriter. And that's where I'm assisting the board. They're fighting to take this thing public. And that's the best of all worlds. And I don't care if I'm lucky or smart, but I mean, it's just, when they're clawing, that's what they're doing right now. And if we have the right kind of support in the aftermarket, the stock's going to go like that. Maybe fall over backwards, go straight up. Hasn't happened yet. But I'll be the first to say, how fucking smart are you, Dan? You're a fucking smart, Dan. Thank you. But look at how long it's taken. I did a slide last seminar. Jeff, 23 years later, he was in space, floating around, right? Did I tell you about Jeff's first acquisition, the knee pads? Yeah. Okay. Well, and it's taken me 28 years or 25 years to do, but he wasn't dealing with a million, he was dealing with a million customers, but I mean, nobody thought that Amazon would work. I remember clearly when he first started, he thought that, and of course the people that were afraid that it would work, like the Walmarts of this world, were bad, they were paying for articles, so the rumor is, they were paying for bad articles to be written about Jeff. But this works, but it's, it's like I'm an overnight success at 76. Overnight success. But it does work. So I know you don't feel sorry for me, believe me, but it works and you should take advantage. If you don't take advantage of it, something's wrong with you. I mean, you're not corpus mentis. Early onset dementia and or corona got to you. Because it's so fucking simple. A billionaire guy I know 5 or 6 years ago, when I decided to keep doing this, after doing it 20 years, so it's 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, he said, how can you make it harder so it's more believable? Huh? I said, then I thought about it a little, and then he was probably right. And he said, stop doing this one moving part. He said that too, but I haven't done that. It's still one moving part. He says, it sounds too easy, and if it sounds too easy, it probably isn't real, and blah, 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 blah. And he knows, because he's known me a long time, but maybe you can make it sound a little tougher, and you'll open up the universe of people that will accept it. I haven't done that. But because it sounds that way, the first inclination is, something's got to be wrong with it. But now we have, and we could have showed you webinars and me not even talk. Maybe some of you would like that better. Webinars from the time you got here to the time you leave right now. Varying stories, of success. And again, a lot of the most successful, and I'm pleased this punch that Marcus is here, but most of the very successful wouldn't piss on your face if it were on fire. There. He says, you taught us, Mr. Peña. I'm on board. Pull up the fucking gangplank. You can all drown, like in the Titanic picture. That's the attitude of most of my mentees and devotees. And of course, that's what I used to say. So now I'm living with it. And hopefully I won't run out of webinars and success stories before I pack it in. But it's not easy getting these guys to... But I think maybe as they get closer to 80, though, I don't want you to feel sorry for me, but maybe some of the guys will come out of the cracks that have had some, big fucking money. 25 billion, 40 billion, 56 billion. Some big fucking hitters. But hope springs eternal. Sally doesn't think that's going to happen until after I'm dead. Yeah. Well, Deloitte, Ms. Deloitte, what do you think of your Peter?
I think he's pretty amazing.
Yep, he is. And his wife thinks he's pretty amazing again, too.
I bet she does.
Yeah. But I use Thomas, but, rarely are you going to find anybody as slick as he is, as good a salesman as he is. Rarely. And then when you couple me, I wasn't as charming to begin I wasn't as charming to begin with, but I came out about after a year and a half. But he does almost everything right, except like a lot of young guys, he has a tendency occasionally to have his alligator mouth overload his hummingbird ass, as we all did as kids. And he wants his back to be against the wall, and I agree with that. But your back against the wall works as long as you perform. Yeah. As soon as you miss one step, as Marcus just went. But it's a sure way to keep your energy going. And he is a high energy guy, as evidenced by his talking. He just, and he can talk like that almost all day. And I've heard him. But he's doing a terrific job. And, I'm thankful that he came along to the seminar a couple of years ago. And he's Canadian, but he's cross-border now. UK acquisitions, US acquisitions, Canadian acquisitions, and he's working on a couple others. The acquisition team, working on a couple others, perhaps in a couple other foreign countries. And see, he's not needing EU approval like some of the big deals cross-border. The EU doesn't have to prove what he's doing. The U.S. government or the Canadian government doesn't have to approve what he's doing. So he's not running into that potential roadblock of inner government approvals. And the public offering will be on the Toronto Stock Exchange, which is a major exchange. And so far, so good. And I will post it at the appropriate time. The public entity, not that I expect anybody, just full disclosure, to buy the shares, but I will do that. And one of the things that he's doing that I've suggested, when you've got a really decent acquisition, a good acquisition, and you're having trouble getting them over after all, you do all the hocus pocus, is you give him a little bit of the holding company. You give him a little bit of the holding company, and he's done that 4 or 5 times. So he's given shares, minority shares, to acquisitions that he's made. And it's worked very effectively. It's been very, very good. And then to the extent that we can talk about the potential of a public offering within the guidelines of the various Security Exchange Commissions. We do. I'm not sure that anything is on the website, but it's going to be a humdinger when it happens. Well, this is your last coffee. Anything about anything. I like when he says, brings faith in the Bible, but that's the way he sells. That's the way he sells. Except now he has a proclivity of using 4-letter words, which seem to work so far. Touch some wood. Anything about goals, affirmations? Yes, sir.
I had a question about him being on Zoom calls when you're doing 100% owner's finance. You can write out the deal right there and then.
Correct.
No lawyers, no
and
accountants.
sign it electronically. But I want him to have, I want you to have the other side with a lawyer. And 99 times out of 100, they're not going to come prepared with a lawyer connected. If it's a second or third Zoom call, then there's no reason for them not to have a lawyer. And again, I would highly recommend that you don't just use your lawyer. Although in the last couple of years during the corona, we haven't had any deals get thrown out because, the other side was misrepresented or not represented. We haven't had any deals that I'm aware of. They've all done pretty well, but you can do it. And if you, probably most of you can move those boxes around and do those arrows and happy faces and all that bullshit that you can draw while you're talking to them. I can't, but the kids are closing them. We don't have anybody effectively is closing online as well as Thomas. Nobody effectively is closing at the rate of him. Andreas is doing it the old-fashioned way, which is my way. Shoe leather, German marching boots. To objective. YouTube, I'd like to say it was a pleasure, but it wasn't. And all my stuff is free on the website. Be careful, don't get coronated. We'll see you next time. Thank you.